Hello and a very big welcome back to another episode. And last we left, the Great-tits and Blue-tits were visiting daily and both showing interest. A pair of Blue-tits, Wendy and Willow from last year, and a pair of Great-tits that have been unnamed as of yet. It's still early days to name them. If they do decide to nest in this nest box, we will certainly have to think of names for those two birds. So we have a Blue-tit coming in here, possibly Willow. And first thing on the 7th of March, he was trying to coax his female Wendy into the nest box to try to prospect this place as potential to rear their young this year. Their contact calls are so much softer than the Great-tits. She has her usual look around, but like usual, doesn't hang about. Interestingly, on the 7th, we also had a visit from a coal tit, a different species of tit here in Ireland. Has a little look around, but heads off. A nest box like this that's been shown interest with Blue-tits and Great-tits. Unfortunately, I don't think we'll have a nesting coal tit. They're kinda, and no pun intended, at the bottom of the pecking order when it comes to these things, as they are the smallest. And we have a Great-tit visiting as well on the 7th, and I believe it's the female due to the broken band down her chest. The male's is much more apparent, as we have seen. But she seems to be having thorough checks of this nest box. Still no nesting wriggles or anything like that. Just substantial checks on every corner and everywhere where she can look. She is checking out. So we're going to have to keep an eye out for the first nesting wriggle of the season. I do sure hope we actually get one. It's usually a good sign that the bird doing it is planning to nest there. It's not a for sure sign, but it's definitely an indication in the right direction when you see it. But for the 7th of March, it is still rather early, and these checks are perfectly normal to be seen at this time of year in my experience, so still plenty of time for that. So what about the 8th? Well, we had the Blue-tits back. And yes, it is our favourite pair, Wendy and Willow. So Willow comes into the box very quickly, followed by Wendy. And she actually has a little bit of a look around. Willow's actually still in the box. They're making a rather hasty exit. Sometimes the males do that. I think they're low-key scared of the females. I'm not too sure. Some seem to be. And so only 15 minutes later, the Great-tits are in, prospecting the nest again. So as I mentioned before, you can actually tell the difference between the male and female birds of the Great-tits. And the male Great-tit is going to hop in the box first here. We know that this is a male behaviour generally as a rule of thumb, but just look at the black band going down his chest. Very apparent and very strong. And that is a characteristic of the male birds. And just listen to the chatter between himself and herself at the nesting hole. He leaves and she comes back for another look. Has a good nosy from the hole, a little peck to check the durability of the wood, I always suspect. But this time around, she decides against it. But a few hours later, she's actually back for another look, so he must have done something right. So eventually she decides to come in the nest box this time. And we know it's the female from the chest band. And so now what I'm going to do is show you the male on the right and the female on the left, and you can see the difference there. It's much thicker and more dominant. So we actually have an interested female back looking and prospecting this nest box as a potential spot to raise some young. I've always had Great-tits visit this nest box, but I've never had a pair show just as much interest as these two, so it's going to be very interesting to see. So we moved on to the 9th here. And the 9th was unfortunately a day that we didn't actually get any visits inside the nest box. We did, however, get some prospecting birds from outside the nest box, but they never actually came in, the little cheeky buggers. But it was a bit of a chillier day, so they needed to concentrate on getting enough food to keep warm. I've mentioned before on this channel how chicks have such a fine line between life and death when it comes to food, but to be perfectly honest, small birds like blue tits and great tits and cold tits and wrens, if they don't get enough food on a cold day, on a frosty cold day for example, they could die very much within the day of no food, which is just astonishing really. And speaking of wrens, we actually on the 10th had a visit of one, so I thought I'd throw it into the video because it was really unusual to see them actually in the nest box. They sometimes use it to roost. I've never seen one nest, but beautiful bird to look at, I must say. And so on the 10th, when the daytime camera was actually on, we had our female Great-tit back. So she came in and done her usual very thorough checks. Every corner, every possible angle needs to be looked at and checked. I wonder, is it ticking all her boxes and her requirements? So after much pondering and deliberating, she decides to head out. And so, just a little while later, we have a visit from a pair of blue tits. So, the male has landed on the nesting hole and makes its way into the nest box. But just look. A female lands on the box. But just look. That's 2 sets of claws. 2 feet. So that is not our bird Wendy. So can you believe it? Another pair of blue tits have arrived. I'm telling you, what a cliffhanger to leave this episode on. So how will all this play out? Well, your guess is as good as mine. So we will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. And if you are enjoying the videos, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. It lets YouTube know to share the video and to show other people the video. So thank you, and we'll see you again. Bye bye.